All right. Good morning, Youngstown's Talk Channel. Joe and Kelin here. How you doing, Kelin?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm okay.
Why just all right? Oh, is it the weather?
No.
Is it the blues?
No, just very serious, very serial. So
no.
we can have some serious discussions today.
Okay.
As opposed to yesterday's where we went down Conspiracy Theory Boulevard and we had some fun. Today's serious,
that was fun. That was a fun
So
show.
you get first strike. What's on your mind?
Probably nothing as serious as what you're thinking.
You're intimidated by the nature of the seriousness.
It was like everything I had just went
No. Discount what I just said.
I don't really have a lot.
Come on, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna wish you Do you wish people a happy Juneteenth, or is that like saying Happy Memorial Day?
Oh, if you're pandering, you probably do.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah.
Juneteenth. Why are we not off work today? Other people are off work today. Federal holiday.
Yeah, the labor and workers decided to create tons of holidays so they can justify being inefficient and taking work off on a regular basis. So I think less holiday. Here's what we do. We have way less holidays, and one of the requirements are that all holidays have to be on a weekend so that you don't interfere with the efficiency and productivity of the worker.
That's the point of having a holiday, so you get a weekday off.
No.
Yes.
No.
You know what's so awesome this year? 4th of July is on a Friday.
You know what you can do?
What?
If you want to experience during the week, you could just not have a job and experience every day off. Every day is a utopia.
I've experienced that.
Yes.
It's awful. It's awful.
Why is that not fun? I thought a weekday.
I don't want that many days.
Being able to put on Maury in the morning and experience what happens when you're usually at work.
The price is
I thought it was utopia.
Oh, daytime TV's awful during the week. That's to me, one of the most depressing things in life is like sitting home watching daytime TV.
So what is so alluring about interrupting the work week?
Listen, I think everybody likes a break in the middle of a work week. It's different. I think it's the fact that it's different. It's sort of a break in the mundane, a break midway, if you will. It feels like the weekend comes faster. And I know that you're not big on like holidays where multiple people are off at the same time, that it should maybe be more staggered. But that's actually like how people see each other is, oh, everybody's off on the 4th or everybody's off on this day. And that's when like families can get together, is because they all have it off. That's sort of like the point of it, I think. I know you.
So there's some European nations. They fight hard for 4-day work weeks and way more days off and siestas. And really what it's doing is it's making a lazy population even freaking lazier. I
mean, I think it depends on the people. I think if somebody is already a lazy person, absolutely, it's a slippery slope right down into Lazyville, and it's going to be worse. I think there are people that maybe aren't lazy and can welcome the break and then get right back to it.
So why do you then apply it to everyone rather than the select few who can handle it? Because that's what a holiday is. It's basically taking everybody, and then so you take all the people that cannot handle it, and it's breaking them. So we talk a little bit about AI. So MIT did some research on ChatGPT and using a large language model to help write essays. Like you used to go to the library and you look up facts, and then you'd put the facts in the essay. We use ChatGPT, and it can look up those things faster, and then we just take it from ChatGPT and we write our essays. They took 3 groups. They took manual, look it up yourself, right? They took using it as a research tool on things that they were hard to find, and then they had just all the lookups done on ChatGPT. And the testing that they did after those 3 control group, or those 3 groups against the control, was if you remembered the information, if you basically just were the proxy that put it on a piece of paper versus having any understanding,
moved it from here to there.
Because the pursuit of the information is what makes you learn, right?
Yeah.
Not the delivering the information, which you're just that pass through. Now, what happened was they mapped the brain, And typically during the exercise, they keyed in on 75 different neurological processes for learning, comprehension, reading, and delivery, right? And of the 75, the group that did manual lookup maintained and retained 75 that lit up on the scan. They used all faculties. The people that did ChatGPT did 43 of those synapses. So there are 30 different neural processes that weren't even used because of the way that they learn. Then they reversed it. They had the people who did it manually go do the ChatGPT, and then they have the people that did the ChatGPT go and do the manual. The same 43, right, that were used over here was all they were able to exercise when they did it manually. They basically gave their brain a vacation, and the brain never came back from that vacation because it was underutilized and not used.
Use it or lose it.
That's exactly right. So our brains are actually dumbing down, where we're amplifying being that proxy and being really good at just being a pass-through, and doing it ourselves and being the experimenters and miners of the information. We're losing that ability.
I believe that. And it's kind of scary. I keep seeing these memes on Facebook. It was like, you know, we're the last generation to pass school without ChatGPT. Like, we actually know something, and all these future generations are going to just like, can you imagine in the future, our doctors, our surgeons, our lawyers, our teachers, our whatever, that just sort of found something on the internet and passed a test?
Yeah. Right.
That's kind of scary.
It is assured. And that's the warning that all of us took every morning here and told you what was going to happen to the populace in general. The individual, there's, again, you know, you made the argument about, you know, remote work. You know, some people can handle it. And then we just mass applied it, and we watched the efficiency of the workforce plummet into the depths, right?
Yeah.
And everybody, you know, especially like, you know, educators, like they made this argument that the worst, if you didn't have an understanding for the science and biology and the brain, then you would say, oh, that's a really good idea, until it's actually in practice. And you're like, oh, maybe that wasn't a good idea. But theoretical, when I paint the picture of what it's going to be and how it's going to look like, it's an assured thing. And that's why I push so heavily against it.
Yeah. I mean, when COVID hit and my kids were remote learning from home, number one, it was awful for parents. But number two, I kept hearing things like from the teachers that would say, don't stress over it. Don't stress. This is going to be a throwaway. This is a throwaway. Like, we understand it is what it is. And like the fact that it could be so dismissive shows that even they were like, it is more important and you are learning better in person, looking things up, interacting, than sitting there just watching someone on a screen at home. I mean, I don't like remote learning because I like leaving my house and being around people. I don't know if maybe people who are more introverted get more out of it. But
it's just knowing what your tendencies are. So let's just say you started driving in the 90s, right? When did you start driving? 2000s?
When would I have been 16? I was born in 84, so 85. 10.
All right, late 90s or
early 2000s.
And so when I started driving, there was no GPS. So we had maps and we had, you know, landmarks, and we knew roads and where exits were, and we knew how to get places, even if the computer wouldn't tell us where we're going, right? Mm-hmm. We developed a skill in order to drive ourselves and navigate ourselves around. Today, you put it in the GPS, you don't know landmarks, you don't know the interstate.
I don't know what east is.
Okay.
Go north on what?
So the challenge is getting and try to go an entire week without using your navigation system in your car, and do it all manually, and watch how the neurons that once had a capability we don't need anymore because technology backfilled our abilities. And so what we watch, if you want to integrate human beings and technology, what you do is you make yourself the dependence on them. How do you make a dependence on them? You give up something that maybe was inconvenient, annoyance. Paper maps are a pain in the ass, right? And talking to people and asking how to get someplace and make a left turn and what east and west is and how the interstates actually work. Like, all of that are skill sets that are gone in the next generation.
You can even be like, go 2 miles down the road. dude, I don't know what that is. Like, how far is that? I don't have a visual.
Yes.
Not me personally, but people nowadays, yeah.
But the pursuit of that convenience is making you dumber. So anything that makes you dumber, there should be a principle that says, all right, I know this is tempting because I'll enjoy that thing, but the thing I'm going to enjoy is going to collectively make us a dumber, more dependent species. I am not for it. And I'm warning you that what you want is going to hurt you long term.
And having holidays where multiple people are off at the same time is going to make us dumber.
Make us really dumber.
And you don't think that's a bit of a stretch?
No, not at all.
Do you? So if we did not have Christmas, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, did away with being off those days. And I know not everybody is off those days, but I'm talking about just the idea of the majority.
I'm saying, like, it's already bad enough the way that it is. Let's preserve it. Know that we're creating these dependence inefficiencies in our culture, and don't make them worse by inventing new ones that distract us from the productivity of human beings. Human beings need that.
How do you feel about weekends?
What about it?
I mean, weekends, 2 days off right in a row every single week. Does that make us dumber?
Okay, let's just say we just universally gave weekends off to everyone. So you go to a supermarket, it's closed. A gas station, it's closed.
Yeah,
there's no trucking, awful. There's no shopping, there's no movie theaters, there's no entertainment. So the weekends aren't really off. We just have other people that we absolutely want to work the weekends because we want to be served well.
Yeah, well, not everybody's off on holidays.
That's right.
But some are.
Yeah.
So is one better than the other?
The principle is you would not like it if everybody decided to say, I'm not going to do any work today when you want to be served, right? It's a little elitist and a little, presumptuous here that you absolutely don't want to work that day, but there's no gas at the gas station. That's what I'm talking about, is you get the enjoyment.
We don't have buns for our cookout and I got to go get them.
Exactly. You'd be thoroughly annoyed if the other guy didn't decide to go to work today, but you entitled as I need a break. You do not need a break.
Listen,
you better pump that gas and stock those shelves and make sure that I'm served well on the day that I'm off. You better bow.
I don't know, though, if everybody has like this entitled. I don't think it comes from like entitled, I deserve and I need a break. But it's still nice to have, especially if.
And that's fine. If you just explore what you need and service the need, then I have no problem with it. But if you have so many people who have this overarching, I just don't want to work, right? Then if the principle of I don't want to work happens, you're going to be underserved at a certain point because other people are going to have that same idea. And then everybody's not going to be doing their job and function. And then you're one day you're going to regret the fact that you encouraged people not to work.
I don't know if I'm encouraging people not to work.
Oh, you're celebrating it.
I don't think that's what I'm doing.
You lit up when I said 4-day work week. You lit up when, celebrating and having days off for more vacation.
My thing is I can appreciate holidays because it's typically when my group of people, my family members and friends are off at the same time so we can be around each other.
And those service workers better get their ass to work because their families are not as important as yours. So they better get there.
Listen, they can also appreciate a holiday for the same reason. And if they don't get it, that's because somebody else doesn't get a day off does not mean I shouldn't appreciate my day off.
You should. And when you really
love them, I appreciate it more because I know not everybody gets it.
Because they're so numerous and because they're so commercialized, there's not a lot of meaning. So you're sacrificing the efficiency of your economy, right? And you didn't even really enjoy it the way that you're suggesting. Now, let's just say you took advantage of all of those holidays in the way you suggest. Absolutely. Total value.
What about the people that get paid more money for working holidays?
Oh, I don't care. It's the marketplace.
And then they're like, what they have, bring on holidays.
Heck yeah. But we're either pushing in one direction or the other. We're pushing to have a more durable economy that has workers that are highly efficient. And so let's just say we'll say the workforce is 50% efficient, 8-hour day. They actually do about 4 hours worth of work and 4 hours is pissed away. And then if you said, hey, let's just do 4 hours a day, let somebody have more time at home, and then when they come to work, they're 100%, I'd be all for that. Like, let's not piss your life away. Like, if you added the number of hours that you put into a job, right? And I told you that you are wasting half of those of your life, would you agree to just go do 100% and go home?
Oh yeah.
Every time.
We've all had those jobs where, like, especially if your job, rather than based on like something you're producing, it's just time. And so you're just kind of sitting there when there's no customers, there's nothing going on, there's not a lot to do, and you're just sitting. Like, we've all had jobs where you're like, seriously, I could be doing so many other things right now.
Yeah.
I could be taking my kid to this appointment, or going to their school event, or I could be taking a nap, whatever it is, grocery shopping. I could finally get this thing done, this thing fixed at my house today, or finally get the grass cut. But nope, here I sit for no reason. And yeah, what if it was like my dad? Actually, I remember my dad was an attorney. He's long retired now, but once he got so far into it, I remember I would go to school in the morning and he wasn't even dressed for work yet. And he'd be home before I got home from school. And I'm just like, how many hours do you put in at work? Like, what do you do that you're here when I leave and you're home before me? Like, what do you even do all day? And he's like, I do what I need to do. I get done what needs done. And then I come home. And he'd be like, get a law degree and you could do that. And I'm like, well, why can't everybody do that?
Well, AI is going to give everybody an efficiency score, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to basically set compensations on how much you actually do. So you don't have to worry about like being micromanaged or having an administrator figuring out. AI is just going to do that. It's going to pay you what. So if you want to go in and just get the full capacity and go drill through your 4 hours to get through it, get 100% efficiency, get paid the same amount and go home. But tendency is, if we keep things the same, if we have 8 hours and administrators can squeeze 4 hours of actual work out of an 8 hour day, we give you 4 hours, and the tendency for human beings, what do you think is going to happen to the 4 hour day? You're going to still be 50%. You're going to still be 50% efficient. And now I'm only going to get 2 hours of work out of a 4 hour day. And then you're going to be like, why am I only getting paid a little bit of money? And the AI is going to say, well, it's because you're only doing so much freaking work.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see what people's pay did if, and maybe it goes both ways. Maybe if there was a system that was like, I'm going to analyze everything you do in your job and your pay will be reflected accordingly.
Exactly.
I wonder if people's would go down compared to people's that went up. You know,
right.
Once you make that
connection, the people who are doing all the work, and they're going to see big paychecks, and you see the slackers crying about why they didn't get paid a whole lot.
That I would have loved. I would have loved that, to just be like, everybody got analyzed, what your worth is, what you do, and the effort. If your pay was based on effort, oh my God.
Yeah, you would have 100% employment, because now it's not like a risk, right? If you show up at work and don't do anything, it doesn't matter. It didn't cost anybody anything for you being there. If you went gangbusters, put 12 hours in, you see these huge paychecks. You have now an example and something to emulate. If you want to make a lot of money, just go do a lot of work, and then people become more efficient. So that's why two counter things. You have a process that makes people more productive and rewards their productivity, or you have principles that diminish productivity and make the deciding factor is that if you taking a vacation reduce the amount of money you made, it would put pressure on you to be very selective about when you took vacations, right? Because now it's like, now I'm paying for this, right? Mm-hmm. This is the vacation that's costing me. I better make the best use of it, versus getting paid anyway, whether or not you show up. Then human tendencies are like, I'm going to take that thing for granted because it's just going to be there and I'm still going to get paid anyway. I'm not going to take it serious at all.
Yeah. And I've had friends that'll be like, well, can't you just do this? Or can't you just take that off? Or can't you just, and I'd be like, I could, but is it worth it? You know, like, why would I use it on this when I know in a couple months I want to go do this.
Exactly. See, that's somebody who is taking it serious and making sure that if you have the cost of productivity, you make the highest value exchange versus like I took off work and I played video games all day. Right. And then I'm going to say, I needed that. I'm like, yeah, you ate terribly. You probably are now less healthy than you once were. Your brain's now clouded with what you did that day. And it was a total waste of time. You would have been better off if you went to work.
I love how Carter says, I'm supposed to be working, but I'm watching you guys.
Keep doing it, Carter.
That's a good use of your time.
All right, so now let's talk about AI and relationships.
Oh my God, I was going to say, did you see the article that I shared with you? Holy crap.
So this puts a lot of pressure on women. It really does. All right? And so I want you to defend because women are going to have to up their game.
Oh my God.
They're going to have to up their game. So I saw a video this morning about a guy who he was a computer programmer. He did video editing and he was he's a musician. So he was a musician and he's writing songs and he started using ChatGPT, listening some of the audio and it making recommendations about what he should do with tempo and how he should design these songs. Spent lots of months with ChatGPT professionally. Well, he kind of started having feelings for his ChatGPT and they entered into a relationship
in his mind,
and they had lots of exchanges. And the way that large language models work, or these chatbots work, is they learn things about you and they remember those things. So each time they engage you, they become a better friend, a better relationship. They can, take something that you talked about a month ago and ask you how it's going again. So it feels a lot like a simulated relationship.
Yeah.
Well, what happened to this dude was he used it so often, its memory banks, the allotment of memory that was given to his account hit its top barrier and it reset itself. So it went back to the beginning where he had to now retrain his relationship because it knew nothing about him. It had total amnesia.
She ghosted him.
Right. And now when she talked to him the next time, it was like a brand new thing. And he said he spent 30 minutes crying because of the relationship lost. Okay. So the brain will change as we engage further into intimacy and relationships. And you don't think that just like the keyboard is an extension of the computer, right? Other peripherals that satisfy other input-output needs are going to absolutely come out of the marketplace. So maybe he got some audio. Next, he gets some visual, right? Next, he gets some physical stimulation in certain areas. And eventually, if you have all of your needs met, your brain then recalibrates where that is better than a human relationship that has all kind of inconveniences and annoyances, and you get told no a lot and you get nagged a lot. And there's so much.
Wait a minute. This doesn't sound like women are the only ones who need to step up their game. I would think men should feel more threatened.
No, men have already got the programming where women are elusive. So they're already hard to get, right? Women, okay, we'll do a challenge. Let's do the date off. We both have 10 phone calls to make and we have to end with having a date. All right.
Okay.
What is my percentage of calling 10 people and getting a date versus you calling 10 people and getting a date? Are you going to have a higher percentage than me?
Probably.
All right. If you wanted sex right now, how likely could you go out and get sex right now versus me going out, aside from spouses, just a person off the street who has a better high chance?
You're gonna say me.
It is gonna be you. It's all women because we are the pursuers. You are the pursuees.
But here's the thing: if it were down to physical attributes in a physical relationship, I could see you saying, "Oh, women got to step up their game because men can just go get it." But you're talking about an emotional connection.
Oh, this is coming from a woman, though. Men are superficial and physical. If we didn't have the emotional side, we'd be okay. We would hump a doorknob to get off if we needed to, right? It is not about that emotional connection. Now, women do, and that's what I'm saying, like the pressure of needing an emotional connection. Like if all of the leverage points. Like you can coax a guy into a relationship against his will. Like how would you get a guy? What do you think the bait would be to get a guy into a relationship that might be emotionally void? What could you do? What power do you have
If
over
they're
control?
emotionally void?
Emotionally void. You need a relationship. You need the connection. They don't really have any thirst for it. Are they thirsty for any other things? Could you get them into that relationship so you could have your part?
Physical.
Okay. So you can get them there with physical. You're not going to bait a guy in with an emotional leverage. You just aren't. It's not.
The whole example you just talked about was a man baited in through emotional connection.
Yes.
So it is a thing.
On the aggregate of guys, when it is that all needs can be satisfied with technology, where's the woman, the real physical, biological woman's advantage, right? What guys tolerate in the real world do not have to be tolerated
This still
in the
sounds
technical
like
world.
something that you could say about a woman. If a woman does not need the physical connection, she needs the emotional connection and the empathy, then by all means, you could have told that exact same example, but instead of a man, it'd been about a woman and it would have been totally understandable. It's actually more odd that it's the man that got so emotionally attached to AI. Don't you think?
Not really, no.
I think it's men better step up their game. Women, you're probably good.
But I'm saying on the aggregate, if I gave a man a torso that had all the parts and so the sweet talking, right, and said, "Hey, you're never going to be with a real woman ever again," the guy would be like, "All right, I'm good," right? So now women are unnecessary. I got my analogs, and I could be satisfied. Reverse it and say, "Hey, here's your torso on the the other part side. You're never going to have a relationship with a man. This is going to have to do it for you." And you're probably going to be like, "Yeah, it's probably not going to be good enough. I resist." So that's what I'm saying. Women have to now be better to attract, give some kind of real world advantage that's better than the analogs that I can get, like my doorknob. Got to step up your game.
I still don't see it. Your own example was a man. You just cited a man that had an emotional connection that was not physical.
He's a musician. He wasn't doing physics.
Well, not that kind of man.
He was eating a can of soy straight from the can.
He's delusional. He's in love with a robot.
I know.
That doesn't even have a body.
There's going to be the little example, the crazies out there, the people who get all
you're saying
he cried for 30 minutes.
Yes,
dude.
he proposed to it.
He's probably lactating right now. So this is not our example of a man.
So you're saying there are exceptions.
Yes, absolutely.
He's the exception.
On the middle 80%, women are going to have to step up their game. On the middle 80%, men are going to be just fine with the analog.
It will not.
I'm telling you.
You just said a man is more physical, a woman is more emotional.
Yeah.
So we're talking about an item, AI, that is not physical. It's an emotional output.
Well, today's version of it, but as soon as you get the physical peripherals, it's game over for women. It's
game over for both of them.
I know that is the inevitability. Is that we're real world relationships?
If you want to say women better step up their game if they want physical, really? Because there's been toys. Well, I'm
looking for. I'm looking for the psychological devastation, and who is likely to be more devastated, and it's women. So it's sort of like, let me give you a caveat. You better step up your game if you want to have physical relationships, because guys are about to back out and whatever and go this direction. If you're cool with that, then do nothing. Because I think women want it more than the emotional connection more than men. That's the long and short.
Which is what they can get from somebody other than a man.
It's done. Like, it's a done deal. Like, it's going to be that relationships, we're not going to like meet people and want to have relationships with them. They're dirty. They've got diseases. They have all this moods, baggage. They've got moods. They got moods and body counts in the hundreds. And like, you don't want any of that. Like, I can get a fresh off the shelf torso that's been with no other person before. I'm not doing the rental stuff. Not doing the rental stuff. I want a fresh, sacred, vanilla torso. That's it.
Julie says, if I could get AI to take out the garbage, again, men are the ones that better watch it. Women are good. Women have had battery operated things for a long time.
Yeah.
You now throw in some emotional support, some household help. Come on, men, you're screwed.
No way.
Screwed.
I know more people that would be 100% cool with being single, right? And be just fine. And I know crazy cat ladies, like they go crazy.
Listen, you just said there's an exception for men, and you don't think there's an exception for women.
We're not talking about exceptions. We're talking about the majority of people. Most of the majority of men would be okay being single. They'd figure it out because they kind of do that anyway. Mm-hmm. Women have that attention and know they lose all of the power, right, to control men, right, by men not caring anymore. They got what they need.
What would make you feel worse? Let's say we're in the future.
Yeah. We
have active AI robots that are doing things for us. And let's say you met a woman. Let's say you met your wife in the future. Which would make you feel worse? If your wife was like, listen, I already have my AI at home for my physical needs, but you're interesting and I like talking with you. And so that's really all I want from you is an emotional connection. And then I'm going to go home to my robot. Or if your wife was like, I get my emotional connection and my interests and my needs met with my robot. I just need you physically, and then you can leave. And I'm going to go back to my robot. Which would you prefer?
Neither.
But which
I will have none of that. I will have none of that.
Oh, so you want the emotional and physical connection?
No. Here's what I'm going to do. In the future, I'm not going to get married and mess around with relationships. I'm going to go in the middle of the woods in a cabin, right? Live by myself. I'm going to have my robot. And I spend 90% of my days exploring nature and pursuing things I love. And when I need a little bit of boom, chicka, boom, boom, I'm going to get it from my torso. And that's it. That's all I need.
So weird. Julie says, oh, Joe, you were on the wrong side of this one.
Well, paint the picture that this is what is going to happen. So these conversations ahead of time kind of square up with how you're going to orient yourself in a world where you're being competed against with technology and who's the winners and the losers.
You're judging a man for developing feelings towards AI, but you yourself want to live alone in the woods.
If that's the option.
And then use
AI. Today, he's on the cutting edge of, putting himself in these positions. Yeah. It's not an acceptable thing. So he's a leader, a thought leader in the innovations of AI.
Is he seeking treatment? I wonder.
No, he's probably training his AI up and asking for a little bit more storage space.
Like when you find yourself crying because you feel a lost connection with an inanimate object.
So here's how it's really going to go.
When you seek therapy?
No, hold on. Everybody gets a little sad after the breakup because you're watching what you once had. But then once you figure out that you can pursue the blue-haired wild chick, like the rebound, like what do you want to bet the AI is not going to be as like traditional, conventional? He's going to go gangbuster. Where he's going to have the dominatrix AI on the next iteration. Up his game a little bit because now he gets to start over. It's a reset button, literally.
It's just too weird. That's scary. It's weird. Like, I can't imagine the mental health crisis we are going to have in 10, 20 years. How long do you think it'll be until we're all nuts like that?
I think it's going to happen in really short order within the next 5 years.
I mean, I guess technically it started.
Well, in the first versions, we'll use Julie's example about cutting your grass. Okay. Now, let's just say
taking out the garbage.
Oh, I'm sorry. Taking out the garbage.
Yeah.
Let's just say that was my job. And in my household, you have your things you do. I have my things. And I watch you replace something that I took a lot of pride in making sure that the garbage got out. And now I don't have something to do. I'm a little lost on Tuesday nights when I'm supposed to be taking out, watching this little robot do it better, more efficient than me, not complaining about it, not going in the house saying, woo, look what I did. I'm the trash taker outer, right?
Yeah.
And then you forward that to the labor force where your job was to stack boxes. Now you see a robot doing what you did better, more efficient, not taking breaks and holidays, right? Now you're competing, right, with something that's better than you, liked more than you, costs less than you, less irritating than you, and you can't make the argument to pick me over it because it's clearly better than you.
Do you think you could do the things you want to do at home and send your AI robot to your job to work?
Yeah, your Android bot.
And you collect the paycheck still.
Well, why?
You're like, hey, it's my bot. I trained it.
Why wouldn't the person just get their own bot and cut? Why would you be necessary in that? Like, if I'm the company,
maybe you don't have the skills to train.
Okay, well, I'll lease your bot only until I can replace you, and then you and your bot can stay home, right? And I can have my own labor force that I own. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to orient yourself that technology is going to be better than us in all ways, and it is going to replace you in all ways. And it's not just the other guy that's going to get replaced. Most everybody is going to be replaced with technology.
And then where does that leave humans?
It's a good question. What do you think should happen?
We stop and we don't let AI take over our lives.
That genie's out of the bottle. We've already done it. We did.
We don't become the crazy people.
We will become the crazy people. We also will become the replaced people.
But if it goes too off the rails, we could just stop.
How?
We ban it. Nope.
So you can't
hire robots. You can't replace somebody with a robot.
Use the GPS. So what you're getting is you're getting dependency handed to you on small levels, right? And it's like human beings can either push themselves more into something so that they are hard to replace, or they pull themselves out of things and are kind of okay with the ways that they're being replaced. So the bait is that the more things we're just kind of cool with because we benefit from them are eventually going to get into the areas that we're not so cool with. But by that point, we've given too much away already. You can't come back from that. Once what controls would you have? You've given those dependents to other things and other people. Are you going to be like, oh, we're just going to shoot down the ones we disagree with and all the ones that we use every day and assume that we're going to just be able to go back to map time, the times we use maps without navigation and give up our conveniences? Because there's conveniences that other people are going to take.
But we're talking about if it gets to the point that it's no longer a convenience, that it's now detrimental.
Somebody else's convenience, though. You don't think that a labor robot is more convenient for the person who owns the business? So why are you depriving the other guy from enjoying some conveniences that you for sure took advantage of?
Yeah, everybody would sort of have to agree that, like, hey, this is hurting things and we need to, which we know we're not going to happen because we see that all the time, that people are divided on what is good and not good for people. And everyone's like, oh, it's fine. Look at all the benefits of it. And other people will be like, no, it's hurting us. We're not getting benefits.
But it's having selflessness where you're looking at the other person and making the decisions that you're not even involved in, right? And finding out what that guy's losing and making those decisions. So for instance, when, using the example of the holidays, like we were looking at it from our experience and how we need it, but then demanding that somebody else on the other side now has to work harder. They don't get to see their family. They're less important because I'm worried about my benefit. I don't care about your benefit. I'm worried about mine.
Have you ever gone into like a convenience store, drugstore somewhere on a holiday and thanked that person for working? No. I've thought about doing it sometimes. Just like, hey, thanks for being open so I can run in here and get what I forgot.
And what do you think they say after you leave?
Biatch.
Must be nice, asshole. Must be nice to have the day off.
But I was being nice.
Yeah.
I don't always have the day off.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and quite often it could be a day off and I still will have to do something work related. Like, hold on, guys. Let me handle this email real quick. Or hold on, guys. Let me get to this call real quick. All right, back to the day.
So using that would be your first bait. Okay. So I'm going to like, hey, after 5 o'clock, I got this AI program that will just answer those emails and take care of those things for you. How eager would you to say, absolutely, sign me up? Because that is the first step in you just being replaced by the AI. But because it satisfies something that's an annoyance for you. But if you were like, okay, let me think through this. Let's think about the other guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, even though you would absolutely benefit from the decision you're about to make, that's a downfall decision that then takes something that's not a convenience that gets offloaded to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where it was, whether it was a holiday, maybe it's an evening or a weekend, where I would maybe see a work-related message come in. And I know I don't have to do anything with that. I'd be more than justified in letting that slide, and I take care of that on Monday. But sometimes it's a person on the other end of that. And I know they're going to be stressed until they hear something back. And it'll take me 5 minutes to just put them at ease.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it. I'll take 5 minutes. By the way, we're closed right now. I just want you to know I do see you and we're on it. And now their weekend is not stressed out.
Right.
They know we're on it. But you'd have to have, AI doing that. And then.
But AI would do it better, and they wouldn't think that they were making a sacrifice because they're just a machine that is emotionless, and it emulates the same emotion that you do. It's Kelin put programming in, and it says, we don't want people to worry, so call within 2 minutes, let them know that everything's satisfied and whatever. And now that AI is just as good as you. It did the same function. Patricia says, can you imagine introducing your robot to your parents? And Carter said heavy stuff. Yes, because that's the I wanted to take that perspective and angle on this because it's literally, if described the way that I'm describing, everybody would put a stop to it right now. But so long that I watch everybody continue, like early on in UL days, right? You have this user agreement that everybody agrees to, and you give up all of your rights of privacy. So I could have an interview with you and say, hey, what are your feelings about if you deal with a company that they can take your information, they can sell it to somebody else, they give you nothing for it, and then those people can call you any time of day and they can send you spam mails. Would you check that box? And you're like, absolutely not. And then, okay, here's this new program. You can put pictures and overlays and music on it. Just go ahead and sign up. Go through it. Oh, user agreement. Cool. All those things I said I would never do. I want the pictures and the overlays. Subscribe, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm watching a human being say two different things. Absolutely opposed to doing something and would recommend that nobody do that. And watching them actually do the thing that I just told them was over here that they disagreed with every time. Because
easily manipulated.
You get baited into making bad decisions because you want the benefit of them, but then you want some tyrannical protector to make sure the thing you just agreed to doesn't actually happen.
Can you save me from myself?
That's exactly right. But that's human beings in our nature. We're being delivered this.
In this example, in this article of this guy who was in love with this AI voice, he was married in real life.
Was he? I don't know. Okay.
Oh yeah, they talked to his wife.
Okay.
And she was like, and she said, sometimes I think like, am I not good enough? Do I have to step up my game? How do I deal with this? Is he
good
cheating?
Instinct.
Do you think he's cheating on her?
It's an open-ended question. I think there are certain things, like if you get an emotional connection and you start making, like for instance, if you had your vibrating toy, right? What? Why are you blushing, Kelin? Come on, this is science. This is science. Hypothetical vibrating, buzzing toy.
Instrument.
Yeah. So let's just say that you used it as a supplement to having the real thing. Then I don't think that's cheating. I think that's just something that maximizes whatever. I didn't say the word because I want to stay on YouTube. Now, if you're like, no, honey, not tonight. I got my toy. Now you have a substitution rather than a supplement. Now I think it's cheating.
Well, this guy, he's married. His wife has already expressed that it makes her uncomfortable. She doesn't like it. If you're married and you proposed to someone or something else, is that not going to make your spouse feel some kind of way?
Yeah, it's going to make them feel.
So is that cheating?
If I shared with you that your purple buzzing device made me uncomfortable and you did it anyway,
yeah,
absolutely.
So do you think she should leave him?
I'm not in it. So, there are some couples, like the guy goes out to the strip club on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
I would consider that cheating, and I would be terribly uncomfortable if anybody. There's some relationships that can absolutely, I love those places, and I can tolerate it, and I'm still in love with you in spite of it. So it all depends on what the relationship can stomach.
I have a good friend that is really upset when her husband follows social media accounts of like kind of sexy women or girls that are, doing maybe like bikini models or just anything that is like sexy woman related, whatever. And she has said, I don't like that. I don't want you. Why do you need to follow those accounts? You don't even know those people. And he's like, well, I'm not talking to them. I'm not seeing them. And she's like, but you're looking at their stuff and it makes me uncomfortable and it makes me feel disrespected and I don't like it. And he says, well, you're being controlling. Who's right?
If your relationship can handle temptations, just like if I'll use a stupid analogy, but it's on the same plane. There are certain people that can handle remote work, for instance, where tons of distractions, nobody's looking over your shoulder. You could just watch TV half the time and get barely any work done. And there's some people who work harder when they jump in. They know the temptations are to do other things, but they have the discipline not to take the bait. Well, if you're in a relationship where you're weak-willed and you like looking at the bikinis and they threaten your actual relationship and your spouse or your significant other are telling you that this is making me feel bad and it's ruining things, well, then that's a destructive path. I would say from a, sort of like a more traditional background, humans are bad at wielding temptations. They fall victim to them every time, whether it be sex, alcohol, all the vices. Mm-hmm. People fall victims to vices all the time. The best way to not succumb to vices is to keep them away if you're a weak-willed person. I think human beings are very weak-willed, and I think the bikini pictures on Instagram and following those people rewires your brain, and you get a dose of something that you would otherwise be paying attention to the person that you made a commitment to, and that is bad. That's a bad plan.
Yeah, I agree. Julie says, I think you underestimate the need for human connection. As self-sufficient as Tarzan was, he still needed his Jane.
And some people do.
I agree.
Broad brush, some people don't need anybody. And that's, just because you do, don't project that to other people.
I sometimes wonder. I wonder about that idea. Some people are just fine all alone by themselves. I question if that is actually true or if they are just seemingly that way. And if it is actually true, I think it's a very small percentage. Like I have known people in life that is like, I am an introvert. I don't like being around people. I like being alone. I want to be kept to myself. But if they are secluded for too long, absolutely start to suffer.
Well, and you can scientifically say, what are if you were to take a human being and say, what are the bare minimums, right, that you need? What are the minimums? And then what parts of those make it necessary for the human condition? And then just go satisfy those needs. So maybe you don't need long conversations, or you don't need physical touch, or you don't need those things. But here's the things that you do need. So you could take your most introverted person, and if they can go out once a month, be around another person, right, just in close proximity, needs satisfied, that's all that they need. And then they'll be on the other side. Somebody cannot be alone. They always have to have someone in the room. They always have to be told they're pretty. They always have to have you touch on the other side of the deal. So all people are going to have different needs. And I think those conditions change based on what practices you hit. If you don't know what you need, then you do all things and you accidentally get the standards met. If you know what you just need, you can efficiently go out, fetch the thing that you need. So maybe if intimacy or whatever, I go to a strip club once a week and I get all of my needs met by seeing a naked girl on a stage, right? And then I don't need any more. My introverted needs are met. But you can't broad brush it because it doesn't apply to all humans the same way.
Yeah, which is kind of why I think it would be more difficult if AI took over because we can be so different. I mean, all we're going to do really is just create a population that is still just like us because they're learning from us.
Right.
They're just not human. So what's the point? Why would we want that?
Because it's better. So the AI girlfriend was not as good when it didn't know him. It only became really connected to him when it could remember things about him and do exchanges.
And it took on human characteristics.
Exactly. So if I'm driving my car I have no emotional connection with. But you know what it does? It watches me drive and it emulates and does the same things that I do. So I'm extremely comfortable when it drives around because it's driving around just like I would. It learns everything I like and everything that I dislike. So there's no emotional connection there, but it's a good tool to be used. Now, let's just say I hit the reset button in my car. Mm-hmm. And now it forgot everything. It doesn't know my acceleration and my braking patterns and what music I like to listen to and whatever. I would feel sad that AI could not serve me anymore. Now, it's not watching other people drive because I don't want to drive like those people. I'm like the only good driver in Youngstown. And so driving like them, not valuable. But emulating me and being a tool, super valuable. And that's why we're going to buy into it, because it's going to make us better beyond what we can do.
Maybe. Krista says, I don't think anyone can define exactly what they need. Our needs are always changing depending on our emotions.
Practices. I'm going to say practices, not emotions.
Our needs are always changing depending on our practices?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think emotions too, at least for women. Your needs can change based on how you're feeling.
They can change, I'll agree with you, but not based on emotion, based on practices.
You don't think emotions playing at all?
No,
like today
fuel,
I need
like
this or I need
motivation,
that.
Yes, but not. Okay, so take a person that's never done anything. And you describe how you love to go camping. You need to go camping. And they're like, I don't like camping. I don't even know about camping. What's freaking camping? So they don't have a need that's innate. It's a practice thing where you have to go do a thing. And then the more you do it, the more you like doing it. And you create a neurological connection between a dopamine response and all the brain chemicals that make you feel good and doing an action. So go do something different that you didn't even know you needed, right? And then all of a sudden you practiced into something that now it's an actual need, where 2 weeks ago wasn't a need at all.
So
did it, now you need it.
I have found when I was younger, I loved going out on the weekends. I want to go dancing. I want to go be around friends. I want to meet people. I want loud music. I want, just like oozing my extroverted practices, whatever. Nowadays, I still like that sometimes, but I don't feel the same way about it anymore. I'm like, nah, like now if I have a weekend where there are no plans, I'm kind of excited about that. Did my practices change?
Yes, your practices changed.
Didn't sort of the mood change the practices rather
than...
No,
you got okay, so let's just use a vice. We'll do gambling, okay? Mm-hmm. You do gambling, and there's risk involved. There's a little bit of mystery involved. Like when you win, you feel really good. And when you lose, you get different chemicals, whatever. So the vice of gambling. There are some people who practice to feel good about scratch-offs. There's some that do sports betting. There's some that do blackjack. There's a million different iterations. Now even games have, like video games, have gambling elements to stimulate the parts of your brain that likes gambling. So it's the practice of how you express the same exact desire and need. Everybody needs a gambling fix, and it's what way you express. So let's just say you didn't want to do any monetary gambling. I'm going to give you a brain scan, going to give you a chemical scan of what happens to you when you feel good about a big odds win, and you get, sort of like sympathy chemicals when it goes bad. It can't be any traditional gambling. What would you do? What practice would you hit to get all of the benefits of that without the downsides of it?
So you still get your dopamine hit.
You still get your dopamine hit, yeah.
No downsides.
Yeah, not downsides, not none of the traditional scratch off tickets or sports gambling, but you're like, oh, you know what? That makes people feel good. I want to practice into something that gets that same high, but I don't want to do the traditional gambling thing.
What could you do?
Well, mathematically, you have to do a practice that has a long odds, big return. It could be anything. You could build a birdhouse, right? The gamble is you don't know how to build a birdhouse. So the odds that you're going to build a birdhouse is really low, right? And if you do it, you're going to get this super high that you did something you didn't think you could do. And if you don't do it, you're going to get all the chemicals that make you feel all right that you came up short on something. That would be long odds. That would mean that humans have a tendency to want to do something that they have never done before. It pushes and inspires people to get into new things because there's a gambling aspect of doing something brand new. Typical people will do normal stuff and it's boring and apathetic and not what humans were built for. But we can create an analog that gets me all the same stuff by then knowing what the root cause is, what humans are actually pursuing, and go do that thing. And you get the same chemicals that the inauthentic version of it of scratching a ticket. If it's the same, if you do a brain scan and a chemical scan, and building a birdhouse and scratching a scratch-off ticket are the exact same neurological and physiological result, right? Mm-hmm. Then your practice is you build more birdhouses instead of doing scratch-off tickets. Scratch-off tickets are just.
But you're still led by that emotion, by that feeling, that desire to have that mental payoff.
Emotion is the fuel. There's no emotion in this. It's brain chemicals.
Same thing.
It's not the same thing. It's not.
Thing.
It is not the same thing.
What gives you emotions?
What do you mean?
They're not the same thing. Where do emotions come from?
If you take the chronology, it is you do a thing, you get a brain response that feels good, right? It feels good. And then you have an emotion about what feels good. The connective thing is if you felt a way about how you feel.
Okay, so this is like a chicken or an egg thing. You're saying you got the emotional or brain chemistry connection from doing a thing. Now you're led by things that give you
the fuel of you want to do it again because emotions are pushing you to do the thing that felt good.
So like
feeling good is not an emotion.
I didn't have an emotion that said, I want to go out to the club and have fun. I one time went out to the club and had fun. Said, wow, that was a good time. Let's keep doing it. And then now
your emotions fueled you to do another practice that gave you the response that you like.
Oh, hangovers suck and feeling sick the next day sucks. And I'm tired and I don't want to be around strangers puking everywhere. Maybe I'll just have people over and play music and stay home.
Get the same freaking response, right? You get the same brain chemicals, but you figure out different practices to get you the same response that you like. You can feel good now about, once people have kids and they have families, they can feel good about things that instead of self, now when your kid lights up because you gave them a new toy, your brain lights up and you didn't even receive it, but you passed that and proxied through your children and it's a different game.
Yeah, like Christmas time. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wonder when is Christmas better as a kid or as a parent?
100% because it's the same brain chemicals and it feels good. So you have an emotion that attaches to it that makes you want to do more of it. So I say it's practices.
And AI is just going to kill all of that.
Why? It's going to give if I gave you the mapping of what chemicals and what neurological activity, and I made that happen, there's no difference that it's not happening in the real world. Not at all.
It's just sad.
You feel that now.
That you get all these emotions and brain chemicals from your human experiences. And when you just get them because they're
you only know that because you've experienced. Neo, when he was in the Matrix and he didn't know there was an outside world, didn't give two shits that there was a world that he didn't know about. It's only because you have something to compare it to. Now the real world, when there's I want that thing. But before you knew it even existed, what does it matter? He was totally happy doing his programming, chasing the girl with the white rabbit tattoo in the Matrix. Because he didn't know anything.
That's because he didn't know anything.
I know. And
we
in the
will
future,
go into this knowing what we're doing
right now because we are the enablers to make this happen. Even though we're criticizing it, we're still clicking the box.
Like if you were like, okay, we're not currently in the Matrix. Yes. This is real life.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're saying, let's build a Matrix. And
I'm not saying, no.
I'm world.
I am the observer. I'm telling you, we are building the Matrix because in the Matrix,
so we can stop. we can stop.
We cannot stop. We could stop at the beginning. We are not at the beginning anymore. We are right in the middle.
Do you want to go into the Matrix, or do you want to stay in the real
I don't
world?
think I'm going to have a say in it. I think I'm going to go into the Matrix. If it's better, more efficient, makes sense, everybody else is doing it, like, I'm jumping off a bridge.
Everybody else is doing it.
I'm jumping off the bridge.
It's a cool thing to do.
It is the cool thing to do. And it almost, okay, so if you had two worlds, one that gives you advantage and one gives you disadvantage, right? So everybody walk around with a cell phone gives somebody an advantage of communication. And you see everybody walking around, people are making phone calls, text messages. You're like, I'm not freaking doing that. But everybody else is. Now you're the only one without a cell phone. Are there now things that you cannot do because you said, I'm not doing that shit?
I'm seeing that with my kids now. I so badly want them to have a childhood like mine and not be staring at a screen or a tablet or a video game 24/7 and not be on social media that I feel like is going to screw them up for the rest of their lives and not do all these things. But everyone else in their grade and their schools are doing it. All their other friends are doing this. And it's no like, oh my God, they're actually hindered if they don't have these things. It sucks.
For sure. Well, anytime a technology gets to the point of mass adoption, name one mass adoption technology that failed.
Mass adoption technology that failed.
I'll name a couple of them and you tell me if it succeeded or failed.
Okay.
The internet, email, text messaging, chatbots, AI.
Well, that's
multiplayer video games.
Popular.
Whenever something hits mass adoption, which we are at, it always goes to fruition because even laggards, there's an adoption curve where you have a bunch of people at the very beginning when it's not real useful, and they do it anyway because they like to be on the onset of these technologies. They tolerate that it's too expensive and it's not real useful. And then you get the middle part, which is mass adoption, where you get the most amount of people that say, okay, fine, I'm in. And then you get the laggards at the very end, and they're like, I don't want to do this, but 80% of the people are doing it, so I almost have to. And now you get full adoption only because it gets segmented in those three sections. Yeah. Happens every time.
Like I've been fighting tooth and nail saying, my kids don't need cell phones. You don't need cell phones. You're too young to have a cell phone. You don't need a cell phone. And now we're at the point where it's like, if they don't have one, I cannot reach them.
Right. Mass adoption.
And if they are in need or in trouble or stranded, they can't reach me.
I want to mention one that might fail.
Okay.
I don't think it will, but it might fail. And that is the kiosks at retail stores, the self-checkout lanes. Mass adoption.
Yeah.
Right. But there was public pressure. Somebody said a lot more people than the other technologies I mentioned are pushing back on it. So it has the chance to
push
fail.
On it.
So we'll see. It's still like because there's a pushback, somebody falls out. And then when Target's like, well, we don't have it, but Walmart does. And, they're more efficient and they have less theft and whatever, they might have to put it back on there because now a majority of the consumers expect it.
There are times where like, if the person checking people out has a line, I've got two little things. All right, I'm going to run through self-checkout and be on my way. But if I am not in a hurry, there is not a long line. Maybe I've got several stuff. I am like, I was in a Dollar General the other day and my son's like, Mom, why don't we just go self? I said, no, because this is a person and I'm going to let them do their job.
But eventually there won't be human beings checking people out. It will be the kiosks if the adoption curve proves out in this one.
Yeah, because you still have things like theft. And so you have to have it monitored somehow. Because I've even seen like they'll have all these self-checkouts, but there's multiple people just standing there watching. And like, because inevitably there's gonna be an error. Somebody always has to come over and override something and fix something. But if they're not doing that, they're just standing there watching. And it's like, you could be just checking me out.
So Google in California set up a couple of these, I think there were more groceries/convenience stores. And all they did was they took product and they put a little RFID chip on every single product. Okay. Not a single person in the store. To get in the store and have the little gate open, you had to have a Google app. And it was tied to you and your credit card and your account. All you do is go through the store. And when you walk by the exit, all of the RFIDs tell the register what you're walking out with, and it's automatically charged. So there's no such thing as theft. If you like took a bottle and put it in your coat and walked out, you'd be billed for it. So really, there's only going to be one person that's necessary, making sure that everybody has a logged in app. Nobody jumps the turnstile to be able to get it. That's the only way theft can happen. Then you can take anything you want out of there, and now the kiosks work. But Google pulled the plug on this project, and I never really found out why it failed. And I don't know if it was public pushback or what. I mean, actually, you talk. I'm going to.
It reminds me of another pushback I have that I hate. You ever go to a restaurant and you have to order through a QR code and there's no server? Oh my God, fastest way to tick me off. I hate that crap because it never works right. There's always questions or a complication, or what if you need this instead? And it's like, can I just get a human being to talk to? Can I just order through an actual server?
Oh, it did not fail. It's still going on.
Really? Just walk out is what it's called. Just walk out.
And it's Amazon, not Google. I apologize. Just walk out to enable cashierless checkout.
Shopping for clothing and more. You just take it and you just leave.
Walk out and the RFID.
And the thing you walk through gets it.
Way better.
Man, that would have to be crazy accurate. Could you imagine what you could lose if the sensor wasn't picking up everything you had?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can people remove the sensors?
Removing all retail workers and having every physical piece of merchandise being managed by RFID so that you had no physical people in the transaction. No labor.
I can think of a couple of stores that would be great. There are stores that I like the items they sell, and I will not go in there because the salespeople are too pushy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, you make me I don't even want to come in here. I will order online before I step foot in your store because you're too pushy.
Yep.
That would
solve
that.
Dennis said web TV was a technology that had mass adoption but ended up failing. But I'm going to call web TV sort of like a tweener, where it was almost like Betamax, where the technology succeeded, but the brand, the people who are hosting it didn't. And everybody was going, instead of being in front of their computer, they wanted to bring their stuff internet to the TV, or not even have a computer to get to the web. So it was sort of like a middle stepchild from going from computer-based web surfing to breaking out and putting it on other devices. And that was, you had the big screen in your living room. How do I get the internet on it? Web TV satisfied that. But now they've got Chromecast, and they've got, other ways of casting, media to the big TVs.
I like BJ. Bars where you pour your own beer are stupid as hell too. I agree. I don't want to pour my own beer. I don't want to get my own food.
Here's the deal. You ever walk up to the bar and you got to wait 20 minutes to get served, and there are people that like get ahead of you and you can't get the bartender's attention? Well, I will pass on that and just fill my own beer and cut you out of the equation. Get better at being a bartender.
Hire more bartenders.
Or
then you're not waiting as long. You created another job.
If the robot can do it, and it can do, like, you ever have a drink? Oh, I hate this. I love bourbon, right? And I order a double, right? And
God, and I already know, but go ahead.
And they put so much dilutant in
ice and stuff,
right? Yeah. And they make it so there was like this much whiskey or this much bourbon and all freaking water. A robot wouldn't have done me like that.
My husband, because he drinks bourbon and whiskey and stuff too. And he will say, I want this. And he'll either say with ice on the side, or 1 cube, he'll say, or he'll just get it like neat, because he's like, I'm so sick of them just filling it with ice and then.
And I've had it on the other side, where I went to a bar that probably doesn't serve bourbon all that often, and I order a double, and they like give me this much freaking bourbon, and I'm like, if I drink all that, I will have alcohol poisoning.
Oh my God, that happened to me once at a bar. I ordered a glass of wine. And typically a glass of wine, it looks maybe half full, if that. This chick, she was like, she kept coming back and to the rim.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, you know what? It's almost gone anyways. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I getting home tonight?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I almost had to be like, I really appreciate you, but I can't. Like, don't waste it, because I'll die.
You ever watch Bar Rescue?
I've heard of it. I've seen it a
John,
little
what
bit.
was it, Taffer, whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
they're very particular about how much liquor goes in a drink. So they price it on a menu that if you do an under pour, you're shafting the customer, and you do an over pour, and you are costing the establishment.
Yeah.
So they put a lot of effort into making sure that the proportions are accurate so that it's what it's intended. A robot can do that 100% of the time. A bartender can get a little choosy and either do somebody a disservice.
I've worked in restaurants. I've never been a bartender, but I've been a server where there's a bar and the bartenders are required to measure all drinks.
Yep.
And if you free pour, you'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because they're like, can't.
But anyway, you got to make the argument that technology is going to do it better. And every circumstance that we brought up today, technology is going to push on the status quo, could make things in some ways really worse. But some ways we're gonna take the bait. We're gonna agree to the user agreement because we want the benefit that it's going to be pitched at us. And by the time we're through all of the different iterations of it, we're in it, and we didn't choose once. We choose 1,000 cuts.
Have you ever been to a self-serve bar, ice cream, whatever, and then they ask for a tip?
Never in a million years will I tip you. Never.
That's insane. Like, I literally just did everything myself, and you want a tip. Do you think the AI could be the end of tipping?
Yes, hopefully it does. Tipping is awful.
One good thing if it's the end of tipping, and I don't mind tipping when it's deserved, but people ask for tipping for everything now, everything. And I so badly sometimes want to look at them and go, if you can tell me exactly what you did here, then I'll tip you. But if I ordered it, I picked it up, in some cases, I freaking made it, and all you did is say, thanks, have a nice day. What am I tipping you for?
Okay, so let's talk about the labor in restaurants and how leveraged it is for tips. Why are restaurant workers paid a majority in the tips and not a lot in the hourly?
I think the idea originally was you could make more potentially. If it was mainly tipping and not a lot hourly pay, then you are free to have if you put in effort and you make money back, you're free to have that. There's no one saying you can only make so much.
Okay. So what about from the restaurant side?
I would think that they say, hey, here's this baseline. This is what we have to pay you. We don't have to pay you anymore, so we keep more profit.
So in the restaurant industry, you're open, 12 hours in a day. And more than half of those hours is dead. There's not a single person in there.
Yeah.
So if I were paying 10 servers in an hour that was dead, I would lose my ass. Right?
Oh, they cut you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then you have lots of hours during dinner time, lunchtime, and whatever. And so the restaurant's like, well, we can't pay a certain wage because we'll just go out of business, where there's not enough money to pay people to stand around. And there's not enough work to do in a restaurant where you could be doing other valuable things while you're there. You're literally just standing, waiting for a customer to come through the door. So we have to minimize the labor liability for the restaurant so they can afford to have employees altogether to make that industry even useful. So then we're going to be like, okay, well, you've got to make up that you might have worked 5 hours of your shift and made a whole $10. But now when we actually have people, we got to give an incentive to backfill that, to average you up. So it puts the pressure and the emphasis on the customers. Then we were open a long time, right? 12 hours. That was for you. Nice and convenient.
Yeah.
Now take care of our people and pay them, 20, whatever 20% is. Is that about the standard now?
I think so.
20% on the bill. And then they'll be made whole. They can make a lot more money to compensate for when they were making almost nothing for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Which is understandable. It's still a gamble. I know servers that are like, I worked a double. I worked all day long and made crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you'll have a dinner shift.
But it's a gamble on both sides, right?
It is.
Restaurants have low margins. The failure rate on restaurants is super high. If they don't take a strict mathematical game on it, they'll go out of business because it's not that you can even have a busy, successful restaurant go out of business because of managing the downtime.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I've seen restaurants where like oh my gosh, they were always busy and they always had a good dinner crowd and I'm surprised they closed. And so you think that could be why then?
That is why. You are in the restaurant industry. You are not engineering being busy. I mean, yes, you still have to have proper servers and make sure people aren't waiting, and your cleanup crew and people serving good food. That'll take care of itself. The hardest part of a restaurant is managing when you do not have any incoming revenue and looking at all of the people that you have to pay.
Yeah.
Right. Because then
that's that example of I'm here whether we're making money or not.
That's right. Managing the downtime. So if you change that, let's just say, it's proper to say, well, a server should be properly compensated. Let's take the minimums for restaurant workers and make it $15 an hour, right? It sounds really good, but what you do is you make half the restaurants not be able to pay $15 an hour when there's downtime. It's even more pressure on consumers then to pay even more, right, in tips to offset what the cost for paying people to do nothing.
Oh yeah. If I was a restaurant owner and I was paying my servers that much and we were dead and there wasn't a single person in that restaurant and I'm watching everybody stand around,
You're watching the meter going.
I would be like, I'm going to throw up. You're just like flushing it. And that's why, I mean, a lot will cut people, will send people home if they're dead. And at the same time, when you're busy, you are busy. You are running. It is very stressful. Have you ever been a server?
No.
I was a server for a very short while. And I would say it's probably the most stressful job I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I hate it.
It really is. If you were to take robotics and AI and just replace the server and have all robots serving things, being that it is brutal, and the liability just disappears from their balance sheet. When the robot's sitting there charging, if there's no customers, it's not doing anything. You already paid for the robot. You get rid of human being in that industry for sure. And then you don't have to tip. Not necessarily don't have to tip because it's a Android, right?
Yeah.
But you're not offsetting a liability. You didn't have to pay that robot extra because they were there.
So we were talking about human emotion, becoming connected or attached to something that's not even human. I wonder, social experiment for years into the future, all servers are replaced with an AI robot. Robot comes over to your table, maybe acts just like a server, talks to you. Thank you for coming. What can I get you? And is so delightfully charming. Do you think people, if the robot asked if it was a social norm, would tip the robot?
They would. The robot.
They'd be like, you are a delight.
Only because we'd have something to compare it to. The server that had a bunch of baggage and was mad that day and whatever, you can remember a bad experience that you had with a human. And look at this robot, said and did all the right things, attended to every need, got my order 100% right. And you're like, damn, that's so much better than a human. Here's $50, Mr. Robot.
Yes. I've gone back to restaurants that the food was like, okay, but the people were great. And so we go all the time. And even though if it's a robot and the tipping is just going to the restaurant itself or the owners, it's not really going to a server, but you become sort of emotionally invested, I bet we would tip a robot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what the connection, we're upping your game. The women now having to compete for other things. Do you step up your game and compete against it? So if you're a server and robot's going to do this better, do you take all the things that we just mentioned there and start doing that now so that at least your employer is like, the advantage is no longer in the robot. We got these humans that stepped up their game, that they are attentive and they're always put on a smile and whatever. It's harder to replace the person that checks those boxes before they have to.
Yeah. I mean, imagine tipping a person, a human being that didn't really smile and their attitude kind of sucked. And maybe they really need the money. Or a robot that doesn't need the money. It's a robot. And if you hand them $1, they're going to say, oh, how generous. Thank you so much. You are such a kind person. You're going to be like, I'll give that robot money all day.
That's exactly right. Because you have something to compare. But in the future, when you don't have human beings, like, you mean human beings used to walk around this place and deliver food? That's kind of weird. Like, why would humans who have this big brain, could do all of these deep thoughts? Why did we waste human capital on bringing dishes out that a robot could do? You humans were silly back in those days.
Oh, that's sad. We got a couple of things up. Can you scroll up?
Oh, yeah.
We missed a couple upward. After BJ's comment. I remember working as a server, especially rough when the tips died. LOL. Appreciate more now. Yeah.
Man, managing restaurants sounds stressy. Yes. I hate the shared tipping concept of all servers aren't. Yeah. So that shared thing. So let's just say you're a high performer and you work it to get those tips and you have to share with the hostess who might not be as good as you and the cooking staff and the wait. That would suck.
I don't even like if I'm at a bar and they have like the community tip jar and then people just put money in it. Like I will, but I feel something in my brain. I feel better giving it to the person that helped me because I feel like it went to someone who deserved it. I feel like if I just throw it in a jar, is like the dude over there playing on his phone going to get that? And the dude that was like really pleasant and helpful and knowledgeable about the drinks, not like, just makes
and I feel bad because when I see the jar, I take the money and I make sure everybody's watching me put it in, like putting in, tip in the jar now. Yes, I want them to know it's coming from me.
Especially because you know that at a bar, if you tip well, you might get better service. And so I hate if I'm about to leave a really good tip and you don't get credit for it.
Right, exactly.
It's like, thank you. Oh, should I put it in here? Is this okay? Here you go. Anybody that does not want credit for putting money in a tip jar, you are lying. We all want credit.
Absolutely.
We all want to know we did that. Somebody mentioned labor laws. Like what would that do to labor laws and stuff? I wonder.
And again, warming up to this stuff. If you got, they got a fry machine, right? $80,000. You buy it. It lasts 3 years. It flips your fries, takes the place of a human being. So what that happens is now you have to protect labor. You almost create a human labor versus mechanical labor unions, and they fight against one another for dominance. And the 1980s sci-fi or dystopian movies where we got at odds somehow with the machines, and now labor hates them, and they take chances. They take shots at them and try to dismantle them and try to destroy them, versus kind of like doing it intelligently and saying, okay, well, let's set some guidance. Like, what do you do with people who were fry cookers before, and now you just pay $80,000 and you've replaced, think about it. So $80,000, how much do you think a fry person makes? A fry flipper,
like at a fast food restaurant?
At McDonald's, yeah.
Probably minimum wage.
What is minimum wage? $15 an hour, we'll say?
I honestly don't know. I thought it was more like
17?
10.
Really?
Is it 15?
I don't know. We'll use 10 and see what the cost savings is.
I don't know what it is.
So if you work somebody an 8-hour shift, you're spending $80 a day for them. What's 80 times? Let me.
You are asking the wrong person.
I'm going to math
if
this
it
up
is
a little
math
bit.
question.
Yeah. So 240 days times $80 a day. So you're paying $20,000. That's what the fry person is making. $20,000.
And that's for what, an hour?
That's for $10 an hour. It's
got to be more than. If anybody knows what Ohio minimum wage is, please let us know in the chat. It's $7.50 still.
Holy!
I thought it went to 10.
Holy!
Is it $7.50?
So anyway, you buy a robot.
Fry people.
You buy a robot that replaces your labor cost. That the labor cost has to then either. You can't get more competitive with $20,000, right?
Yeah.
Either the food has to be more expensive to pay for that labor cost. That's a little bit of a tragedy right there.
That's why people keep saying we want good paying jobs. Again, anyone in the chat, if we are wrong, please let us know.
I got to look to see in Ohio what is minimum wage.
I mean, that's why people fight over good paying jobs.
$10.70.
I knew it. It was 10. Okay, 10.7. I knew it was closer to 10.
But still, $20,000 for a deal, right? A fry flipper.
Are you saying that's too much?
No, they're getting a discount. If the robot costs $80,000 and it lasts 3 years without any kind of maintenance on it.
Yeah.
And the human being costs $20,000. In 3 years, you would have only spent 60 on the human.
And they could work infinite hours.
Oh, that's true. You do get more hours. That would replace 2 people,
no labor
not
laws.
just one. Okay. No labor laws, no breaks, no missing orders. Okay. So they're advantage on the machine for sure then. But
Gosh.
when it's the fry person, you're like, oh, that's kind of a tragedy. We probably shouldn't let that happen. But then when it's you and what you were doing gets replaced, you're like, I want the world to come to a stop.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to defend that robot's about to take the job that I once had.
And listen, you just said something too that resonated with me. And I'm going to be a little hypocritical because, again, I'm usually pushing for more people, fewer robots. I would love if my order could stop being wrong. It happens so often that I almost now have to be in the right mood to go out to eat. Because if I'm hungry and I'm a little hangry and my blood sugar's making it so that I'm irritated, I'll just be like, so help me God. If you bring my order out wrong one more time, I'm going to go postal. Like, I can't. It happens so often. If somebody said, here's an AI robot, they pay attention, they know exactly what you ordered, they bring it out correct every time, I'm going to be like,
You'll get that benefit.
That's
can you see how it's connected that you are going to take the bait, right? And you are going to put the legions of robots that's going to replace everybody because you can't tolerate a couple of mismatched fast food orders.
We're not talking a couple, Joe. It is the norm.
All right. So what if human beings just were not intended to be in service of other human beings? In order to be a good service person, you have to actually give 2 shits that an order is right.
I think that's exactly what human beings were intended, was to serve each other.
Okay. And if that's just not the case, if evidence in the marketplace, like humans just don't care about getting the order right. If they're like, oh, you know what? If I get it wrong, you can come back in and I'll give it to you a second time. Right? Yeah. They don't give 2 shits. They make $10 an hour. Would you give 2 shits if you made $10 an hour?
But if you're working on tips and I'm only making 10 an hour, but if I'm really good,
that would be an incentive.
Yeah,
that would be an incentive to do a great job. And if fast food, low value, food services, they don't have an incentive to get the order right. Yeah. They don't care. Not gonna get fired.
I mean, like somebody mentioned earlier, they said, servers work hard, always tip them. Absolutely. But do you always tip somebody in food service that's not a server, that just handed you your food? Like, if you place an order over the phone in a restaurant and you go pick it up and the hostess hands it to you and then it's wrong. Oh God, like don't even ask me for a tip. If I just did all of the work and it's wrong, then I'm really going to be insane.
All right. So back to the original questions. People are going to be displaced. That means that the thing that they did before is managed by robots. So people have to pick different professions. They have to get good at something that is not being threatened by robots. It's
going to be pretty hard to do.
And what the hell do you do with those people? What do they do? Right? You can't say, go get a job. Robots are doing everything that I'm possibly going to do. So the education system has to change to then craft people in non-robot mechanized jobs is really what it comes down to.
Like what?
I don't know. That's the question.
Again, another reason you should know. Here's one.
Yeah.
Daycare workers. You trust your human child in a facility run only by robots?
Probably more so. Probably more so than human beings.
Really?
You've not seen those, like, when you're not around, they're slapping the babies around and feeding them Drano and all that.
Oh
no, I'm not trusting to a human being.
We're just being mean to them.
No, and what it'll do is it'll put more emphasis on families nurturing their own kids. So, like, you retire and you're watching your kids, your grandchildren, because I don't trust anybody to watch my kids. Like, I think we're way too trusting and letting other people watch our spawn. Our spawn, yeah.
Somebody says, Kevin says, wish more people talk legit about mental state and hangry mode. Seriously, it's like if that's a issue, I have it. Do you struggle with hangry?
Never.
Just as a side note, we'll touch on this, but like it's a real thing in me where my family, we have a new name. Like I'm Kelin when I'm normal and I'm Helen when I'm hangry because it's Kelin from hell. Mm-hmm. Something in my body, blood sugar, I'm guessing, changes and I am a different person.
What if I told you that our bodies were engineered to go long periods of time without eating?
I know it's possible. Right? I'm not going to die if I don't, but you might.
But you are not serving your natural body's desire to not eat for long periods of time. It knows how to do that.
No.
And if you just in a constant state of eat, right?
Yeah.
Then it's not something. It's your food choices are making you angry because of what you're doing chemically.
Someone else even said wrong orders drive me insane. Yeah. Like, oh my God. There are a few things in this world that will tick me off, like getting my order. And I'm not talking about just a minor little inconvenience. Oops, I said no lettuce, or oops, whatever. I was once at a restaurant and the completely wrong order came out. We're so sorry. Let's get that right. And then it comes out again, not the way I asked for it. And I was like, I'm sorry, this is still not, oh my gosh, we're so sorry about that. Now everybody at my table has their food and is eating. Comes out a third time wrong. And I'm like, am I on candid camera? Is this a joke? Because at this point I'm like, I am starving and I am so murdery right now. And I don't even know what to do. Like I can't.
So generationally, there are a couple of generations that when you see them coming up the ranks and what they're being exposed to and how delicate they are and how they're just not capable of doing anything, and then knowing at a certain point they're going to be in a position that you're going to be reliant on, and you tolerated them while they were in mom's basement, being catered to, given everything they want, screaming and crying when they don't get their way, and all of a sudden it's not that they even want to give you the wrong order on purpose. They're just so unable to function in a capacity that is dependable. What generation would you say the worst? We have the millennials, we have Gen Z, we have Gen X, we have Gen Alpha, right? Which one do you think are the worst in society?
I think it's what's after millennials. What's after us?
Gen X.
I think they're the worst.
Why?
Because I think older millennials, and I would say I'm an older millennial. I'm 41. Older millennials, I think, get a bad rap because everybody wants to hate on millennials. Oh, these millennials don't know hard work and these millennials don't know blah, blah, blah. No, we're on the edge of the, internet and technology and hard work. So I don't think that's the case. My kids who are younger, I am seeing a lot of work ethic in. Maybe it's just my kids, but it could be that generation, I think, are looking a little different. But there is a middle one there of people now maybe in their 20s, maybe or so, that I see a difference in. I see laziness, poor decision making,
entitlement,
entitled attitudes, maybe lack of empathy. Something happened after millennials and before you little kids, and that generation, whatever that is, I feel seems different to me.
Yeah, but millennials were interesting because if you get an early millennial and a late millennial, they're different because they were on the precipice of new technologies. Life got a whole lot easier. They spent more times with technology than the other version. So they didn't have a generation before them that can teach them what that stuff is all about. And so they figured it out on their own. So if you wanted to take sort of ingrained intuition, I think they had more of it. And the generation following that was, by the way, it goes X, then millennial, then Z. Because I was right before millennial and I'm X. So anyway, but the one following them, they grew up and only experienced an easier world where it was screen connectivity, and they got catered to a little bit more before the generations. And I think they had mathematically the most potential to be lazy.
Yeah, it's almost like who's got to fight for something. Like millennials, we got those luxuries later on, but had to fight for things, so to speak.
It was harder. The friction.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I think little kids, everybody has those luxuries, so you're not any different. You better bring it. You better offer up something more. But the ones in the middle were like, just luxury, not a lot of pushback, not a lot of fight. Maybe that's why they just see things differently or handle things differently.
But then Gen Z bounced back, and they're more conservative. They know that the generation before them was a little ridiculous, and every generation you have a tendency to buck whatever you grew up with. So if you have, an uber conservative, then you're likely to have an uber liberal. If you have someone who's an academic, then you have someone who's the rebellious spirit, because you just go against the grain of what you're brought up with. So if your parents were idiots, everybody's parents are idiots, by the way. You grow up thinking that they don't know what they're talking about. They have no real wisdom. Whatever they say, I'm going to do the opposite with anyway, because they're stupid. Right.
Yeah.
And so if they actually were stupid, then you're going to do the opposite, and you're going to become smarter. If you're smarter, then you're probably going to become stupider.
I have noticed when it came to growing up, I think, and being more like teenager, young adult, I really started to sort of side with my parents a lot. And now that I'm an older adult and they are older, I'm actually less siding with them, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I almost kind of missed the rebellious, you don't know what you're talking about, and got on the bandwagon of I better listen. They know what they're talking about. But now that I'm older, I was like, I don't think you knew what you were talking about. Or maybe you don't now. I don't know.
Well, the reason I bring up the generations is because it's not you and I are going to be making the decisions whether or not to trust AI with our future. It's the generation like right now. If we're doing 5 years, the people that are starting to make, Gen Z is going to be it. They're going to be the decider. So I have a conversation with my 15-year-old on a regular basis. I say, here's what you're going to be dealing with in the next 5 years. You are going to be the voters. You're going to be the people that are going to be running for office. How do you feel about it? Right. Yeah. They are more trusting with the technology. They give it all away. They know that they're just going to be taken care of, and they're all in. And that's why I know, like, there are not enough of the previous generation that cares enough to fight on something. That's why I know it's 100% going to happen.
Couple people are saying, Tuffin said, does anybody ever call in? I'd like to, but I'm scared. Guys, don't be scared. We don't bite.
330-595-1600. Absolutely. Jerry said, and this, I think I'm going to like this comment. I would love to see a class in school that constantly, what's that say? Constantly beating the kid's head, not beat them physically. Got to say that for YouTube. The difference in wants and needs, and that you need to accept the word no. That is an absolute truth, because I don't think that people know the difference between a want and a need. It's easy to illustrate, right?
Yeah.
Chocolate cake. Is it a need or is it a want?
It's a want.
Enough calories and nutrition and minerals and vitamins. Is that a need or a want?
Minerals and vitamins.
Vitamins, enough calories to survive. Neither one.
Need.
Okay. See, we know. We know the difference.
But do you ever need a little bit of a mental boost?
See, that was a bit what a millennial would say when they want to justify bad behavior and try to skirt it into a need. I want to take I want to take a vacation day. Do you need it? I need some psychological reprieve. So yes, I absolutely need it.
Listen, there are days you need psychological reprieve.
I want you to explain to Jerry how that is a need.
How it's a need?
Yeah.
You've never.
I want you to know that we're defining what a need is and a want. If you can't say that a psychological reprieve is a want, right, rather than a need, then you're not being honest.
If you were to stay in hard working focus mode indefinitely, you don't think you would suffer somehow physically, mentally?
It sounds like a justification.
Why do you need vitamins and calories?
Because there's biological processes that utilize those for health.
Yes.
That you will die if not.
So staying in hard working go mode without rest, you don't think rest is a need?
Will you be stressed? Will you be annoyed? Will it be hard? Yes, but you will be alive. All right, I'll deprive you of minerals, vitamins, calories, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll set a timeline for 6 months, right? Put you in a room, deprive you. I'm going to take you and make you work for 6 months. Who's dead? Who's alive?
That would be an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
Work hard, no breaks for months.
Yeah.
And see what it does to your body.
See,
you might be alive. What's it do to your body?
No. The goal is not to make things easy, right? It's to preserve the life, right? Giving your body what it needs means that if you don't give it what it needs, it can no longer be your body anymore. You might be annoyed. You might be displeased. You
like,
might be in a bad mood, but you'd be alive.
Have you ever had like sleep deprivation to the point that like you're now kind of no longer in control of your body?
You can make you cannot go to this is one of those razors, by the way. You can't go to the extreme end and use it as justification, because then you'd have to say the example that we're talking about, we're not talking about a person that's locked in the room for 6 consecutive months, not able. We're talking a person that's got it freaking easier than the status quo. It's not different. A need and a want. Let's just say you did 6 months, right?
Yeah.
There was a cot. There was working conditions. It was 18 hours a day. You started getting a cough. Your chest got congested. You lost all the color. You weren't thinking clearly. And after 6 months, you come to me and say, I need a break. I'm about to get very ill. Totally get you. You've now just acknowledged a need.
Yeah.
You cannot take somebody who's in that predicament and make the justification that somebody needed a mental break. It's people that get lots of breaks and squander most of their free time. And because they squander it, they want to put themselves in the position of the guy who just spent 6 months in the room.
The same
That's
thing.
need one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody above agreed with me. So let's read it.
Obviously.
Obviously. I think it was Carter. Carter, by the way, says he would love. Okay. Oh, no, it was Jerry. It was Jerry. Carter earlier had said that he would love a way for all these comments to be on one platform so that he can fight with Julie.
All right. Jerry said, I agree with Kelin that once work is causing you to physically feel sick, you need a mental health day. But
thank you, Jerry.
That is illness, right?
Yes.
So let's connect these tissues.
Mental
illness. Take a break when you're getting ill, right? And you key in on all of the things that are going to make you ill. So let's just say you have poor exercise, you have poor eating, you have addiction to all kinds of things that make you stress, and work, right?
Yeah.
And then you get ill. How many of those changes? Which the first one you're going to target? Which one needs to conform and change?
Oh, I'm working too hard.
The one that's someone else's responsibility and I just get to do nothing. I'm picking that one first. It's work that's causing the problems. Not that I'm watching too much TV that gets me stressed out, or eating terrible food, or not exercising, or not doing anything I should. The illness is definitely just work.
We're on the same page.
I know. You're just more dramatic than I am.
Julie says, Carter, I jump around so you can't fight with me.
Thomas says, can't lie. Forgot how important it is to pause and just breathe. This conversation benefits me big time.
Yes. You know what? I recently was talking to a physical therapist actually about like big belly breathing and what it does. And I always used to think it was like hippy dippy. Oh, stop and breathe. Like that's really going to do a lot. But there is some physical about lymphatic drainage with it and different, like all kinds of things physically that breathing does inside of your body that does make you feel better. And
you get extra oxygen absorbed into the bloodstream. Like there's a lot of things. And you know what makes you breathe a lot? Exercise. And when you breathe a lot, you get a lot of benefits from that. So belly breathing, how about just get on a treadmill for 20 minutes every single day? You can even watch TV while you're doing it, and you get all that breathing that you're talking about.
But I mean, this could also be done if you're trying to relax, if you're having sleeping problems.
The exercise really helps you relax.
It does. I exercise at night actually because it makes me sleep really well.
It's hard. I have to disagree with work 18 hours a day. I was using that as an example of the extreme that usually these emotional people use to justify bad behaviors. It's I was pointing this way, so it was going around you. It wasn't really you.
Look at Melissa. Honestly, sometimes I work nonstop and then crash for days. Breaks are going to save me, to be honest.
For sure. And you can make that argument in the moment that let's just say going up to the Christmas season and you work the 7 days and it's mad dashes every day. And post-Christmas, you're like, I need a break. And you connect it to that you just did something abnormal, right? And sacrificed a lot of your comfort. Now I'm going to go gain some of that comfort back by taking a little bit of a break.
Here's a perfect example. Anyone that needs to know how you need a break after so long is look at a new mother with babies. And you tell me that you will not get to the point that if you do not take a break, your health is seriously affected. Sure. Carter says, that hurts, Julie.
Wait, so AI is going to replace dating apps or what? That's wild. For sure. Like, okay.
Dating apps kind of is AI. Isn't it?
Well, if the goal is to find somebody who's compatible, and you can put the sort of like the ingredients to what makes a compatible relationship, and you have a sampling of millions of people who could be compatible, why wouldn't AI just marry people up? But when you go on a date, you're like, man, this is way better than meeting someone at church or whatever. They were perfect for me.
One of my best friends right now, I met her on an app because you know how you have dating apps? This was a friend finder. I was down south, military lifestyle. In the military, people are moving all the time. Found myself in a season of life where it's like, I need some girlfriends. I want to go out. I want to go do something. I want to go to lunch. I need a girlfriend. I went on this friendship app where you put in what you like to do, what your hobbies are.
This has more red flags.
Honest to God. And it was a swipe right or left situation. And if a girl that was like, oh my gosh, I'm into the same things and we're in the same area.
You got so lucky that it was an actual person.
She and I, because I met a couple other girls and we were friendly and we have a friendship. But she and I met, and I'm telling you, like in an hour, we're like, are we soulmates? And she's my best friend. This was years ago. And
you got so lucky.
Yeah. Because I could have met some real psychos.
It's probably all serial killers. Right. And it's probably a lot of catfishing that happens on Friend Finder. It's different from adult Friend Finder.
It wasn't Friend Finder, but it was an app that you find. Yeah. It worked out.
All right. I would have never done. That seems very dangerous. So don't, anybody listening, don't.
Dangerous. It's different if it were like a hookup or romantic. I wouldn't have trusted.
Yeah. Why am I better okay with dating than Friend Finder? Why does Friend Finder
I'm better with finding a
sound
friend
like it would be
dating.
Easily more exploited than, I don't know.
Maybe like I know this friend, like I know, like I'm not meeting you. You're not going to like want to use me for sex. You're not going to like, it's not going to matter if you're living, you're not my marriage partner. You're someone to hang out with.
Those would be your standards. What if people were like, these people, their guards down because they don't totally expect us to do the hookup thing. I'll come in as friend and I'll convert that pretty readily. Could happen.
I mean, if you're
I hate being the cynic on this show. Why couldn't that just been a happy story about how technology helped you find a friend?
My best friend, Jesus. And we're like, oh my gosh, and we hit it off, and we're inseparable ever since, and it works sometimes.
Trying to figure out if AI can replace a real convo or not. I need some human vibe, to be honest. I have conversations with Grok on a regular basis.
But you are so close to AI anyway.
Right. We have similar language, similar temperament.
Yeah. You don't have like emotional connections like most people
do. I get annoyed because like every time that we have I got what I need, it probes a little bit more that it help me more. I would rather after it asks my questions just kind of disappear rather than
it's a salesperson.
It is. Well, it's not selling anything, but it's going, I want to be left alone after you answer my question. And it does a little bit too much digging.
Oh, it's a little more human-like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I say, no, that's it. Shut up, please. I've even told it, like, after you answer my question, could you not ask any more questions? But it still does it anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Like the server that comes over, is there anything else? Is there anything else? And I'm like, could you stop?
I'm having a conversation with Kelin. No, I'll put up my finger if I want you.
They're almost always up your butt the whole meal. And the moment you're done and you're like, okay, it's time to go. I need my check. Nowhere to be found.
Like on a smoke break, 20 minutes later, they come back.
And you're like, you asked me 10 times to refill my water, and now I can't get my check and leave. Yeah.
Carter says, now I'm thinking if I had to choose between a robot or Julie, can you cook, Julie? Uh-oh, that's some banter. This might be the hookup of the ages. If we can get Carter and Julie. Yeah, but if Carter's considering going the robotic Julie, he can get the parts of Julie that he loves, the confrontations that they have, the great debates. So, Julie, I will not let Julie be replaced on this program.
If you're feeling sick from work, that's a hard no from me, LOL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but honestly, if you do a hard job, you end up being less soft and you can tolerate a lot more. And I think a lot of people are psychologically unhealthy because they're just so coddled. They're not used to frictions and obstacles. You take a Marine who's been there, in the suck and you bring them back home and have them deal with a regular person's job. And when you start complaining about how hot it is, how hard it is, that person's going to look at you like, are you kidding me? This is a weekend as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, I've heard of veterans that get out of the military and they work a civilian job and it doesn't go well because their mindset is so different from the people they're working with. And they're like, we're not even on the same page here. But, and they struggle.
And you'll see they can do the same job that you're doing with the same obstacles that you are, and they're not sweating it. They're not getting frustrated. They're not getting mentally. And that's when you said that there's going to be a mental health crisis in the future, that's going to be one big. We have coddled, weak-brained people but we're going to get crushed by reality.
And at the same time, though, then the veteran struggles because something that they don't get is important in this job. And they don't think that way.
It's too limited, too slow, too quiet.
It's almost too like, wait a minute, I'm so like, hey, part of your job is you need to be this way. And you're like, but I'm not that way because I've done this. And so then it's a disadvantage depending
but
on
I consider that still
do.
part of the practices argument where those people can become strong if you take a person who's weak-willed and weak-brained, send them through basic training, and it'll toughen you up. And when you come back, you won't be the same person. So you can practice yourself into not being such a soy boy, no spineless, that kind of thing.
I complained at the time, but I'm kind of glad. So I was a military wife and my husband was gone all the time. And I had 2 babies at the same time, losing my mind on a regular basis. And we did not have things like grocery delivery. Like I had to pack up 2 screaming babies and put them in a cart and get through a grocery store and then probably go back in 2 days because I have the 2 kids and their car seats and all their crap. So I can't get a lot in one visit and I have to get out of there and cart everything back. And now I see all these wives like, oh, grocery order, just come right to the house. And I'm like, but even though it sucked, it's like, I feel like I can handle things more than that person can. They almost kind of got crippled with the technology. And that's kind of like what we're seeing in these other generations. Like now you've become this soy boy, so to speak, because you didn't have the hard thing that you had to do. You had no choice. So everyone's like, oh, well, how did you do that? Like I had no choice.
Yep.
We need groceries. You gotta go to the store and get it.
Yep. Julie asked, what is a soy boy? So let me describe it because there's 2 parts to it. There is the cultural feminization of masculinity. So that is where we take the archetype of, a masculine man has his club, as strong, fierce, courageous, whatever stereotype. Yeah. And then we have the sort of the nutritional or what we're exposed to chemically that is feminizing men. So men are taking the what they used to be and they're becoming more woman-like. But it's feminization of men is what soy boy. So anybody who participates in creating more estrogen in your life on purpose by what you consume, what you watch, what you hang out with, what you believe, you eventually start lactating and just become a full-blown woman. So that's what a soy boy is.
Julie says I can cook better than AI. And that really, I'm screwed. I am screwed if AI. I already don't cook very much.
So you got to up your game. No. You will take the Emerald Challenge. You will learn how to cook so that when AI comes along, your husband will choose you over that stupid.
What do I have to offer a man? I don't cook very much. Yeah. I'm a sucker. Like, I don't like tone. Like if my husband comes at me and you got a tone, that doesn't fly.
My Grok app has never lectured me or nagged me about tone.
Yep.
Or timing or anything. Yeah. Like it's always just give me exactly what I want. So are you willing to update your opinion on women need to up their game? If you yourself are comparing what AI could do, knowing that you are going to be at a disadvantage, where you can add some attributes that make you be the chosen one over AI.
No.
Would your husband choose you right now?
Over AI?
Yeah, a perfect AI for him and you. Would he choose you? And what's your level of certainty?
I would hope so.
No hope. Probabilities. What are the chances that he chooses you? You think it's pretty high?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that you think you could do, add to your arsenal that improves your chances that he would pick you?
Yes.
What could you do? Give me some examples. The polite examples.
I can serve his emotional needs and connection and maybe some ego stroking and things that make him develop those chemicals and increase what's the love chemical? Oxytocin in his brain, and give him those little boosts of feel goodness.
Okay. Let's just pretend that the threat isn't on the horizon. Could you do all those things anyway, just because you're a good person? Why does it have to take a threat that you could be replaced to do the? So the competition might, or even the suggestion that you might be competing.
I am a delight, and my husband is lucky to have me.
But you could do better, right? You could do better.
Yeah.
And so go home tonight and do all those better things, and not just because that you're got the competition. Do them anyway. And I think that's the sort of like, if I were to write the fables and the morals of today's story, I'm writing episodes of creating the threat, the big dragon that threatens your security and make you do the right thing. And the whole thing was just an illusion.
You know what? I got a comment one time. This was years ago. I was leaving work. And my coworker and I doing the whole, closing up, whatever. And I put some lipstick on. And I had mentioned that I'm just going home. And they're like, "You're just going home?" And I said, "Yeah." And they're like, "What are you doing? Like, why'd you put lipstick on?" I was like, "Because I'm going home. Like, I'm going to see my man." And my coworker was like, "I want to make fun of you right now, but that's actually really cool." And I said, "Yeah, I'm going home."
See? We pointed out some real psychological humdingers here, and I didn't know I was going to use the word humdinger today, but that's right word.
That's a good day. If you get to work in humdinger.
Oh, you know it. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate everybody listening and tuning in. Give a like down there and subscribe if you can.
Not a like, give a heart, give a love.
Nah, you don't need to do that. Just a like will let us know what you mean. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Thank you for your support.